Hey guys, Daryl Rosser here. Welcome back to another episode of The Lion's Show. I'm joined today by my friend and student of mine, Chris Lamore, and he's an agency owner in the States that's now hitting over $20,000 a month, monthly recurring revenue, okay? He's making more than that, but every month on recurring revenue, he's gonna make 20K, pretty much no matter what, presuming obviously clients don't quit. And we're talking about his journey, how he built up his agency from working in an agency himself to leaving, and over 2 years now, I believe, creating his own agency. And what's really interesting is a few short months ago, Chris was really stuck with his agency. And many of you guys probably know that feeling where you've got a few clients, you're making pretty good money. He was doing all right. He was making around 20 grand a month, not all recurring, right? And he just felt stuck. He was really struggling. He hit like an invisible wall in his business where he's really struggling to bring in new clients. And we started working together on a coaching basis, and we really helped him figure out what was holding him back and break through that wall. And honestly, these days he's doing so much better. He's consistently bringing in new clients, and it's really great to see him just growing his business and setting up systems in place to really scale it to the next level. So in this episode, we're talking about how exactly he's going to be scaling it over the next few months or few years, what exactly he's doing right now to scale it, and how exactly he's built up his agency to $20,000 monthly recurring revenue, and what exactly he does to do that. All right, so you're gonna go the step-by-step from quitting his agency to building it up and what he's doing today. It's a long interview and it's very, very in-depth, and there's a lot of great nuggets in here, so I highly recommend you watch it. So with that said, let's jump straight into the episode. Enjoy. Chris, thank you for joining me on the show today. It's very, very awesome to have you here.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. So for anyone that doesn't know who you are we've been working together like on a coaching basis now for quite a little while now. And you went out there from, a year ago you started your agency on your own? Or was it just SEO specifically?
Just SEO. I started my agency about 2.5 years ago, and then I started doing SEO, in the last year.
Gotcha. And in like that time now, you've got over 20 clients and built up a decent monthly recurring income from SEO specifically, rather than just relying on kind of one-time gigs like web design, things like that. And what's interesting also is before you got into this stuff, you worked at an agency, and I don't know how much you want to talk about that, but it sounds like you didn't really enjoy the experience too much, and I guess you kind of figured, like, I could do this myself, and you started up your own thing. Is that shortly after, or how did that work?
Yeah, so I mean, it was, so I worked there for about, I think, 3 years, but the thing was I actually didn't even do any SEO. It was strictly web design, so I started off as a web developer, designer.
Interesting.
And I did some basic on-page optimization. Occasionally I knew the basics. I knew about link building, but that's about the extent of my knowledge.
Sure.
So I worked there for, about 3 years, and it started with the websites. I was like, okay, they're getting, $5,000 a pop for these websites. I'm over here working for I think at the time I was making $5,000 a month, which is definitely not bad, but that's one website a month, and I could make that same amount of money. So I was looking at that, working ridiculous hours, and after I went, my wife and I just got married. We had just gone on our honeymoon, and literally as soon as I came back, I was like, you know what? I want to do this vacation thing more often, so I'm just going to quit. and then just left on the spot.
That's awesome. And you just immediately just started up going after your own clients after that?
Yep. Yeah, right away. It started with websites, and for a while that's all we were doing. And then, like I said, we decided to start moving into some other types of revenue, which happened about in the past year.
Okay. So how did you get your first client? Like you quit your job spontaneously by the sounds of it, and you're like, I'm gonna do this my own thing. I can do this myself. I can make some good money from this. How did you go out there and get client number one?
It was totally impulsive. I mean, it was literally just one day I was thinking about it. The next day I was quitting. The good part for me, I got really lucky.
Okay.
Because there was a sales guy that worked at that agency who also was quitting right at the same time as me. And, he liked working with me. We had a good relationship working together. So he actually decided, he had all these relationships built up for people who need websites and SEO and even social media marketing. And he actually said, hey, I'll just refer business to you. So I was, obviously that helped a lot, mostly with websites. But I did end up getting a couple of SEO clients in the end later on from him.
That's awesome, man. So what made you shift then? So you obviously you're doing pretty well with web design in itself, right? But what made you shift into SEO, a couple of years later?
Yeah, so SEO is actually more than half of our business now, but what started is, I think it was like 3 months after starting my business. My dad was getting his house painted, and then he ran into, like, when he was getting quotes, he talked to some guy about what we do, and he said, the guy's like, well, I already have a website, but I really need SEO, and I'm about to pay this guy like $850 a month to do it. And at the time, brand new business, I had no recurring revenue. I'm like, okay, like whatever, I'll figure it out. And I had enough knowledge to where I could sell it. I knew the basics of it, and enough knowledge just so that I could learn it. And I just figured, at this point, I'm not going to turn down $800 or $850 a month, whatever it was. And I'll figure out the way to do it.
How much were you charging at the time for like web design?
For web design, I was starting at $2,000. Our average project was around $3,000.